Call
Call
your
your
sponsor.
sponsor.
Call your sponsor.
Call you
Call
sponsor.
your
Call you
sponsor.
sponsor. Call you.
Bitch, call your sponsor.
Call your sponsor. Call your sponsor.
Part 2.
Cut two, she fires me because I was like, what's the problem? Like, I'm going to play pool, we're going to eat, and then I sleep with them. Like, get off my job, bitch. So she fires me, and it really made an impression on me. And of course, what do I meet next? A guy that says he's been around AA for 8 years, and once I'm already head over heels in love, we find out he has 2 months recovering from heroin. So now I go to this new sponsor and I tell her, listen, I've messed this up before and I'm willing to go to any length. And I loved this sponsor so much. She was like rooted into the ground. She was like this big, beautiful magnolia tree that just like, I was so wanted what she had spiritually and attracted to her spirituality and the way she worked the program. And I didn't want to lose her. I'd rather lose this guy that I was head over heels in love with. So I went to her and I was like, listen, whatever you tell me to do, I will do. And she says, I am here to be your spiritual advisor. I am not here to tell you who to date, what to wear, what meetings to go to. I am here to spiritually advise you and apply the principles in all your affairs and, you know, not judge you and to love you. And I don't care who you date. I sponsor women whose husbands still drink. How am I supposed to tell you, you know, who to date? And it was the most loving, like you just said, like to come in here and to get that kind of unconditional non-judgment and love was something I'd never been familiar with. And it changed the way that I sponsor. I also married the man with 2 months recovering from heroin. And we, you know, he stayed sober for a really long time. And we have this beautiful child. And thank God, like this child is the light of my life. And thank God that woman understood the principles of this program and that her job was not to tell me who to date.
Oh God, it's like there's so much I could say about this. I just am really in my heart listening to this because it's this, for me, it's, I identify being on the receiving end of that love and that understanding versus having somebody project their stuff onto me.
Good point.
You know, where it's like, oh, when I had X number of, you know, like, this is how it was. And it's like, yes, for you, maybe not for me, you know, just because it took you that long. I mean, all of that kind of stuff of like, oh, it's going to take you this way. It's like, maybe not. I don't know, you know?
Right.
Okay, so so this just in, of course, is that honor God. I just received a text from somebody who I used to work with in a sponsor-sponsee capacity, and they're reaching out because they've recently come across somebody that is sleeping with their sponsor, and you know, has a few months under their belt, and there's still a few back and forth. And, you know, I said, please feel free to share my number. I'm happy to share my experience and, or point them in the right direction. I, you know, in that Living Sober book that, you know, availing yourself of a sponsor, I think it goes letter A through I with different things. And letter A is the suggestion of men sponsor men and women sponsor women because sex and sponsorship make horrible mix. You know, for the gays, like, you know, also too, it's to consider, like, so yeah, I am excited to have a conversation and potentially see how I can help. I don't have experience sleeping with a sponsor or a sponsee. Normally, if there is a bit of a looker and a bit of an attraction, I really try to go the other way. And what I've done in the past, there's been two that were very, very cute. And we did not go out for coffee, but they were wanting sponsorship. And I basically just said, let's find you somebody. you know, and that's kind of just how I left it. And then I've just been kind of cheering them on the sidelines. I just know for me, I was very, I think the long termers used to say mocus in the beginning, where I didn't really know what was going on. Not to say that it stopped me from being in a relationship, but that's for another episode. But I don't have experience with sleeping, and I kind of actually frown upon that. But what do I know? I mean, I guess if I look at the situation that all I know is that they're sleeping together, is I guess my suggestion would be, if they're wanting other sponsorship, then I'm happy to assist.
I
What are
have
your thoughts?
thoughts. Yeah, I have thoughts.
Yes.
My first thought is that the person who's having this situation isn't the one that reached out to you.
Right.
Like this third party that thinks they know what's best for this person.
Yes.
That's great. But until it's like they have to hit their own bottom and be willing to do something different and reach out of their own accord.
Yes.
Of course, we have 20/20 vision onto other people's character defects.
Yes.
And I would say 120,000 million% for anyone listening to this. If your sponsor is sleeping with you, that is not the program. That is fucked up. We don't do that. That is, in my opinion, predatory. The sponsor is 100% wrong in this instance. And somebody walking in the doors has no idea about that. And it's just, but we don't do interventions in the rooms. That's a treatment center thing. We don't do that.
Right.
And it's horrifying. Honestly, it makes me so sad.
Yes, thank you for pointing out that triangulation. And as I was just talking about triangulations before, and so I will see if this person reaches out themselves for help.
Right.
Which, I used to have a hard line where I used to not reach out to sponsees because their willingness was shown in whether or not they reach out or not. And I think as I've, had conversations with you and I've stuck around, it's, it's not, it could be a little blurry. If I think about someone and I want to reach out, I can reach out. It's not this hard line anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm like 80% they need to be reaching out, and especially when they're new. But I have certain sponsees that I just absolutely love, and I want to see how they're doing sometimes, and like, hey, what's going on? And I do have one sponsee who I love so much. When I moved here, we got the closest relationship, and since then she's, in the last 4 or 5 years, she's gotten married and had 3 kids. And every time I reach out, she sees it as I swear I'm working my program and I'm going to meetings and I'll get there, and I'm just like, no, I just love you. Like, I just want to, I'm not that girl.
I love that. And I love just going back to that the first sponsor, second sponsor split screen that you had shared, is that the freedom and the comfort in knowing that there was no penalty and that it was a safe space to share. Which I've had that same thing.
It makes me misty-eyed. Yeah,
Misty,
it makes
Misty
me
getting,
misty-eyed.
Misty's getting misty. Misty's getting misty, y'all.
Because it was just the most kind, loving thing on so many levels. One, I have a beautiful son because of that advice. 2, I changed my sponsorship from then on forward, and I've sponsored hundreds of people and have been able to give that same non-judgment and non-shame and love. And it put me on a different pathway. Thank God.
I will say, and I think we're coming up on our final 5, but I will say the one line that always gets me in our literature is actually hidden in a tradition. And it says, great suffering and great love are our disciplinarians. We need no others.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful.
And that's been my experience. Like I needed to hit a bottom. I need to hit multiple bottoms with many different things, even
Right.
minus, a drink and drug. And for me, it's been the love of some long timers and sponsors along the way that were there. That is why I'm still here.
Right. Now who's misty eyed?
I'm verklempt. I'm totally verklempt. Literally, like.
Happy New Year. Yeah. Yeah, I really love that. All right. I am going to ask you a question.
Ask away.
Which is, what is your favorite recovery quote?
Favorite recovery quote. God, dare I
It
say
doesn't
that?
have to be the exact words. It can just be inspiration or exact words if you have it memorized. I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, dare I just use the same thing I just used, which is, I would actually get a
Yeah.
tattoo of that. Great suffering and great love are our disciplinarians. We need no others.
Yeah. I just really wanted you to say it again.
That's
is
legit my
so
quote.
Good. And I have completely forgotten that line. And yeah, matching
Which-
tattoos immediately.
Do you have another one?
Step 11, where it says, this is along the same lines, there are going to be times where we're seized with a rebellion so strong that we can't pray with the greatest exertion of will. And what should we do at that time? And the response is, we should not think too ill of ourselves. We should simply resume prayer when we can, knowing to do what is good for us.
There's so many good ones. That's a great one, I have to say. It's because it reminds me of the gentleness.
Right. And that's why I'm saying, that's why those two quotes, I think, go hand in hand. And I loved sharing that in a big meeting yesterday and being like, this is the intention of this deal. It is, we're going to ask you to do these things. And you know what? If you don't do them, it's okay. Just be kind and gentle with yourself and resume doing it because it's good for you. We don't care. We're not attached. And that is the whole principle of AA. And it gets muckied up and clouded so much with people in it. But the divine thing, and I've never experienced this in any other religion, is that, hey, if you don't do the one thing we're asking you to do, oh, that's okay. Just be kind and gentle with yourself.
So beautiful. I'm so grateful that I get to do this with you and that we're doing this. And
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. It's beautiful.
Hashtag
All right.
blessed.
Till next time,
Next time. Bye.
Bitch Gaia sponsor.
Your sponsor. Call your sponsor. Call you sponsor. Your sponsor. Call you.
Bitch, call your sponsor.
Call your sponsor. Call your sponsor.